Hello and welcome to Porter County Perspective. I'm your host, WDSO Program Director HAMZA SAHLI, and this week my guest is the new owner of the Chesterton Tribune, Don Hurd. Thank you for your time, Mr. Hurd.
Well, thank you for allowing me to come into your studios today, and I do appreciate being here. It's a beautiful day here in Chesterton, and we're just really happy to be a part of the community.
To begin with, could you tell us a bit about yourself, both personally and professionally?
I've been actually in newspapers all my life, basically. When I was 11 years old, I had my first newspaper route, and here I am in my early 60s, and I'm still a newspaper boy, you know. But I started, as a newspaper carrier back when I was 11 years old, and then it just kind of went from there. In junior high, I was editor of the school newspaper, and also in high school then, I went to Ball State University, which is a good school for journalism. My degree is in telecommunications, journalism, and marketing. And with a triple threat like that, I just kind of, after I graduated, I kind of waited to see who gave me the best job offer. And I first ended up at a little bitty radio station around Monticello, Indiana, and it's where you get to do a lot of things. I did the disc jockey thing. I did play-by-play basketball. I took out the trash. I did a little bit of everything at the radio station. But one thing about small-town radio, it doesn't pay a whole lot of money. Mm-hmm. So then I started looking at other opportunities for me, and one came available in a newspaper in Logansport, Indiana, and I took that position as an account executive. And from that point, back in the early 80s, I got the bug, for newspapering. I guess they'll say they got the ink in my blood, and it's hard to get that out. And so I started my career, in the early 80s in newspaper, and it's kind of just snowballed from there. I worked for a few other newspapers. I worked my way up to ad director. Then I was general manager at some newspapers. Then I was eventually publisher. Then at one time, at a group of newspapers, they wanted me to kind of straighten out their organization. They had 30 newspapers in Indiana and Illinois, and I became president of that organization, and I was able to get the revenue up to where it needed to be, increase the news coverage in our newspapers, made them much more locally focused, and not using AP wire services as a crutch to fill pages. So I really turned them around into being great community newspapers, and the communities really appreciated that, because to me it's all about local names and local faces in your local paper. You can get other news elsewhere, for like world and state news someplace else, but what happened at the Cub Scouts Pinewood Derby last night, we got that. You can't get that anyplace else. So I went to president of that organization. Then it went very well. Then I got to think, it's always been on my mind. I wanted to own my own newspaper, and it was on my bucket list, And finally, I got to the point where I said, I'm making millions of dollars for these other people in these other organizations. I know what I'm doing. So why not just go out on my own? So an opportunity came available for a newspaper in Benton County, Indiana, down in Fowler, Indiana, the local community paper there. So I bought it, and it worked out very well. And I say, okay, I can cross that off my list. And then from there, it kind of just took off, like a racehorse. People started coming to me, wanting to know if I wanted to, come to their community and buy their local newspaper. Then, one by one, and eventually I'm up to over 20 newspapers now that I have in Indiana. And I've been very, very blessed with the staff that I have. They're very, very well organized, and they're there to they understand my goal and my ambitions for the local newspaper, and they execute my plan. So I don't have to be at every newspaper every day. I do travel a lot. I travel probably about 60,000 miles a year, wandering Indiana, to all my newspapers. But again, I'm very, very blessed to have good staff members who understand what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve for the communities, and that's to be great local community newspapers that are filled every day or every week with local names and local faces. Mm-hmm. I call it refrigerator journalism. What it was when I grew up around Warsaw, Indiana, and whenever I played basketball or ran track, or when my photo or name was in the paper, Mom and Dad would cut the news article out and post it right on the refrigerator for everybody to see. So my mom and dad's refrigerator was actually the first social postings from way back when. So but I love community journalism. I think there's definitely a place for community journalism, and I just love what I do.
What first attracted you to the media business?
Well, I like providing information to people, that allows them to make decisions. Even when I was in junior high, and we did a school newspaper there in high school, I loved, telling the stories, writing the stories or taking the photographs that people enjoyed, and being kind of, documenting the history of different events, that happen, in people's lives or happen to different areas, and I just like the fast pace of being in the news media. You're always doing something, and it's different every day. It's not like you're going to, and not to demean anything about factory work, that's a very important job, but it just wasn't for me, and I like being out with people and getting the scoop on different stories and things along that line that are happening in the communities that we serve. So I guess, just the hustle and bustle every day, of what's new and different, in the news media and what's happening in the community. I guess that's what drew me into. It's like ants drawing the sugar. That's me. I love the hustle and bustle and the excitement, that happens, when you're covering the news and covering sporting events.
So obviously you have a very extensive career in the newspaper business. What would you say is your personal highlight from that career?
My personal highlight, I've been in the business a little over 40 years, okay? So there's a lot of highlights and there's some lowlights too. But I tell you, I guess the biggest highlight really for me personally is that I love what I do. I don't dread getting up every morning, like some people who don't like their jobs, they'll lay there in bed when the alarm clock goes off and go, oh gosh, another day, I'm ready when the alarm goes off, or even I even beat the alarm, okay, I'm ready to get up and go out and see what kind of opportunities are afforded me during that day. So, I've won over 80, awards for news coverage, photography, advertising, design awards. Some of my newspapers have won Best Newspaper of the Year. Again, being old like I am and being in the business 40 years, there are a lot of highlights. And so, in the business wise, can I pick just one? I guess buying my very first newspaper, that was a really big highlight because it achieved my goal and I was able to cross it off my bucket list. But lo and behold, I've been very blessed, and here I am, with over 20 newspapers now, and that's a highlight too. In this day and age, not too many people are buying newspapers, especially during the pandemic period, back in 2020, and it's still happening now. But my two happiest things is loving what I do, have a passion for it. To me, it's not a job; it's a passion.
Yeah.
I'll never retire, and because I love what I do, and then buying my very first newspaper, that was always exciting.
And clearly your passion for the job and your love for the job, like you describe it,
I
I can tell right now, just reflects in your success. Because if you're not willing to get up those early mornings and stay up those late nights, put the real effort into what you're doing, you're not going to be a success, especially in the newspaper industry where there's some troubles right now.
Absolutely. If you don't love what you do, you better get out.
Yeah.
And because you're only going to make it worse for yourself and whoever you're working for then too.
What led you specifically to our local newspaper, the Chesterton Tribune, and why did you decide to buy it?
Well, I'm always looking for to expand, my empire. I'm always, looking for different opportunities, and this really wasn't on my radar until a friend of mine, he's the executive director of the Hoosier State Press down in Indianapolis, Steve Key, and he sent me an email one day and said that the Chesterton Tribune was looking to possibly close. Would I be interested in buying the newspaper? And I said, well, I'll take a look at it and see, and after looking at it, and finally contacting, the Canwright family that owned the paper here, everything fit, and it would fit well within our organization. I also own the newspaper over in Lake County, the Lowell Tribune, so it's kind of in the same area or whatever. And most of my newspapers are all in the northern half of Indiana, so it fit well within our organization. It was kind of centrally located with everything. So I adding that, and what the Canwrights were doing and things that I heard within the community, they really wanted their local newspaper, so I said, okay, we'll strike a deal. So we made a deal with the Canwright family, and unfortunately, that they closed it before I got here, that's fine, that's their prerogative. But we're on the the downhill slide of being able to relaunch it again real soon here. So, and again, the area is a great area. I mean, I love the area up here. You got the dunes, you got Dune Land, and it's just a beautiful area. I like how the downtown, it seems to be very vibrant downtown.
Yeah.
A lot of new things coming in down there, and really probably the biggest thing is the people are really nice here.
Yeah, definitely.
I've met several people here who have embraced me to come in, and welcomed me, with open arms and things, and just the people are really nice, and it's nice to be able to come to a community where you're welcomed, to be here. And plus, I think, since the newspaper had closed, back in December, people have really realized how much they miss their newspaper. And for me, that's kind of it's kind of a good and bad thing. We kind of have to start from scratch again, but that's okay. I've done that several times, but it's good to know that people want their newspaper. And that's a great thing. I don't know, when we announced it, on one of the social media platforms that we had bought the paper, the outpouring of congratulations and relief from the community, it was great. It was overwhelming, and really it's probably the biggest welcoming that I've ever had at any other newspapers that I've bought. So I'm really excited to get started here in Chesterton. In our first issue, we're planning on being April 22nd will be our first issue. Everybody who had subscribed to the paper before, will get a copy for the first couple weeks, and then we'll be sending out renewal notices for people to actually subscribe to the newspaper. And actually, my business office down in Fowler, Indiana, they're printing out all the renewal notices now, and they'll be sending them out probably this weekend. And this weekend is what the 10th or whatever of April. And so look for those in your mail, people, and send us a check. But also, we're going to be upgrading a little bit too. The newspaper will have a totally new look. It'll be full color throughout the paper. Every page will have full color on it. It'll look very vibrant. It'll be upgraded. I think people are really going to love how the paper looks, once we're through with it. And again, and it's their newspaper. It's the community's newspaper. We're just trying to be a good steward of the newspaper for the community. And again, if they have anything, ideas or whatever they want to see in a newspaper, or it's anything, good, bad, or indifferent, I want to know about it. A long-winded answer to maybe a short question, but again, as you can tell, I'm very passionate. I just love it. I just love this business. I love the communities that we serve. And again, I'm very approachable, and if anybody has any questions, comments or concerns, let me know.
And I think that's why the community has received you so well, is because they finally have someone who loves the paper just as much as they do, and so it's a breath of relief for them.
Well, that's good, and again, I've been very, very blessed with each one of my newspapers. I've got a good staff at each one of them who understand what our goals and objectives are, and that's to be a great community newspaper.
What are the biggest challenges that you're facing now that you're coming to rebuild the Tribune?
The biggest challenges, I guess, is finding good talent to follow, my goals and expectations. Finding reporters, finding an editor, to be able to come in. Again, it's just finding the great staff. We've been able to hire a couple local people here already, which is good. That's a good start. And then finding, our next thing is, we need to find an editor and reporters to be able to carry the load of the news gathering process here and the layouts, things along that line. And we have a graphic designer who does a great job for us, on the page layouts and for the advertising. So I guess the biggest challenge is just finding the good employees, who are willing to do, to follow my lead, how we want this paper to look and feel, and to come in and they themselves be engaged in the community also. And again, I don't like my employees just sitting in the office, not engaged. I think because they represent the newspaper. Even though I'm not here, they're here locally, and they represent the newspaper, and we want them to be able to be engaged in the community. So the challenge is to just find the good people who fit with us and fit our needs, and we'll find them. We're getting close to there, find them, but still, on target for April 22nd being our first issue, and hopefully we're able to blow people away with that.
One of the changes that many people are concerned about and they're wondering about is whether or not the Tribune is going to maintain some of the old columns that they used to have, like the Echoes of the Past or the Voice of the People, and then even furthermore, if we're going to have any new additions to the Chesterton Tribune.
Sure, yeah, we'll have, we'll try to give the community what they want, okay? And if they voice their concern or a request, we'll do our best. All of our papers, we run history columns. History is very, very good, like Echoes of the Past. Here, we will definitely look at that because it was a mainstay, with the newspaper. You can't throw everything away, even though you're starting fresh. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, the analogy, but there'll be some things that we keep, and there'll be some things maybe we freshen up, and there may be some things we add to it, so you need to kind of look at a mixture. A newspaper is kind of like a cornucopia. It's a little bit of everything, for people. People will want to read their local newspaper for one or two reasons. Either it might be they want to see the obituaries, they want to see who got arrested, those type of things. They want to know what the schools are going on. Maybe they want to do the crossword puzzle. So people, different reasons why they want to subscribe, to their local newspaper, why they read their local newspaper, and that's why we try to be everything to everybody. And that's really a tough business to be in, to do that. And and sometimes we may not be able to give them everything that they want, but we try. We try. That's the main thing. As long as we're trying to satisfy the wants and needs of the community, and again, you got to tailor things to the local community. Not every. We have some papers in the farming community, okay, and we're maybe a little more geared toward agricultural. And here, it may not be as heavy on agricultural. So again, you just try to tailor the newspaper to your readers and what they want, and again, and I think we do a very good job at that in reading the community. But again, we really do invite the community to let us know what they would like in their newspaper, and that's the only way we can be your newspaper. Again, and having a newspaper or newspaper is a very personal thing. I remember a guy one time, he was talking about the newspaper, and then it came around to he always kept saying my newspaper. That's absolutely true. It is his newspaper. This is the community's newspaper. Now we're just being stewards, of that, and we're trying to do our best to give the community exactly the newspaper that they want.
And so you talked about the different look of the newspapers. You talked about this. Are there any other important changes that anybody should know about?
Well, the website will be upgraded. Okay. It'll be. I try to use all platforms. Because not. I hate to say this, but not everybody reads the newspaper in print. They like to do it online, and that's fine. So I like to embrace change, and new technology, and use it to my advantage on how we can reach more people. It's all about building your brand, okay? And we want people to see the Chesterton Tribune as the community information leader, in which we will be, And so whether we do that in print, whether we do it, with our webpage, whether we do it with social media, Chesterton Tribune will be there. And plus, we'll be engaged in the community. We'll be big supporters of different events and things along that line. We'll be there covering them. If there's parades or whatever, we'll be involved in those type of things. So we really love to be engaged, in our communities in which we serve, because, that's the only way you can find out what's going on. And plus, the local community wants to see their paper engaged, in things. They want to know that, that the paper loves their community, in which, I'm just falling in love with the Chesterton community. It's a great community.
It is. It really is.
And it really pained me when I heard that the paper was closing. I really hate to see a nice community like this to lose their newspaper, because you don't want it to be a news desert, but we're changing that. We're going to bring it back, and then people don't have to worry about that anymore going forward after the 22nd.
I know you already said, but could you repeat once more, when are you releasing the first publication of the new Chesterton Tribune?
April 22nd is our target date, okay? And now, again, before, we want to clarify this, make sure everybody knows this too. At one time, when it closed, the paper at that time was a daily newspaper. It was like 5 days a week, okay? We're only going to do 2 days a week. We're going to go Tuesday and Thursday, because assessing the needs of the community and things, and again, when they were doing it 5 days a week, a lot of times the pages, weren't all local news. It was a lot of AP rip and read type material.
Yeah.
But we're going to be all hyper local news. It'll all be local news, local names, local faces. So in our communities, the other communities we serve, we're either 1 day a week or we're 2 days a week. And here in Chesterton, they deserve a paper 2 days a week. So Tuesday and Thursday will be the publication days here in Chesterton, and also it'll be delivered through the U.S. mail.
Okay.
I've found that out with all our other newspapers. The most reliable deliveries, even though you may have a love-hate relationship with the local post office, they do a darn good job of delivering mail on a day in, day out basis, you know, and so all our papers are mailed out. You know, the papers will be there like early morning, and that's when the postal carriers can put the papers in their cars and deliver them that day. So they'll have same day delivery. So Tuesday you'll get Tuesday's paper. Thursday you'll get Thursday's paper. You know, unless you live somewhere in Timbuktu or whatever, you know, but all the local papers here in Porter County will be delivered on those particular days then.
And you mentioned that previous subscribers will get the renewal form. How can new subscribers get subscribed to the Tribune now?
Well, they can call our offices, and again, I don't have that number in front of me, but you can call our office. Oh, yeah, I do. You can call our offices down there and talk to Nicole. She can set you up with a subscription. She'd be more than happy to do that. We are now just in the process of being able to put an online portal. We'll have that within probably the next week or so, where people can go online and subscribe to the paper and send in a payment by credit card. I guess before here they didn't take any credit cards at all for payments and things along that line. So if you want to call the Chesterton Tribune, the offices are open now. You know, downtown. You know, 193 South Calumet Road here in Chesterton. Now the main number is 219-926-1131. So call Nicole down there, and she can set you up with your subscription and make sure you don't miss any of the excitement that's happening here at the Chesterton Tribune. So again, I think you're really going to love it. It's going to be a much more cleaner looking newspaper. It'll be, again, all full color photos and things along that line that we need to do in order to make it a more modern looking newspaper and to compete, you know, in the marketplace then too. Because a lot of advertisers want color on their ads, you know, which is great. And so we'll have the online portal soon, but call Nicole, and then everybody who was a subscriber will soon be getting a renewal notice, you know, for the paper then also.
And so I know that you were looking recently for reporters and staff. Are you still looking for?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Either they can send their, you know, look me up on Facebook and find, you know, send me a message there, or stop in the office or call the office, you know, and we have a friend of mine, Rick Martinez. He's our executive editor now. He's helping help set up the newsroom for us here. And so if anybody's got, you know, would like to write, you know, or do some stringers or do freelancing, either for sports or hard news, those type of things, we're looking for people like that. And I love using local community people as writers or freelancers because they know the community, you know, which makes a big difference. And they have maybe some good connections then also, you know, to do a better story. So yeah, we're always looking for good talent, you know, and definitely we're looking for a reporter and editor right now. So anybody hearing this in Radio Land, you know, be sure to give me a call, you know, or my number is 765-490-6519, and we can, you know, get you an interview or whatever, or get you an email address to send, you know, clips to, or again, stop down to the office and see them here at 193 South Calumet, and you know, we'd love to have local people write for us. Definitely.
Now, moving away from the business side, getting back into just talking about our town, you've had quite a chance in the last few months to get acclimated with our town. So my question to you is, what's your favorite part of it?
Favorite part, I just love how vibrant the downtown is. I mean, I go through a lot of communities. Again, we traveling 60,000 miles a year. I go through a lot of small towns in Indiana. And Chesterton can be very, very proud of how their downtown looks.
Yeah.
You know, you got, I really like you have a good mixture of old businesses that are still here, new businesses that are startups.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's really good that you've got a lot of people engaged in wanting to keep the spirit alive, you know, here in Chesterton. So I think, the downtown area I think is great. But again, there's things going on around in the area then too, which is good. So it's a growing area.
Definitely.
And again, there's so many resources. You got great, got great recreational, outlets here. You got great shopping. You're close for if you want to go traveling. You're close there to get on super highways and those type of things. You're not that far away from Chicago. You want to do that. It's just a great community to live. You got great schools here. And again, I think one of the biggest thing is you got people who care.
Yeah.
You got people who care about the community, and they take it personal, when someone takes a swipe at the community, That's great. You should be defensive about your community, want to protect your community. But it's just a great all-around community that I think people ought to be proud that they're living here. And we want to make sure we're giving them a newspaper that they're going to be proud of, too.
And the downtown area, now that we're creeping up on summer, has so many great events that, just like the European market and many others, we look forward to showing you just how vibrant it can get.
I'm looking for. I talked to Maura at the Chamber of Commerce, and she was telling me how big the marketplace is that you guys have, and I'm looking forward to being able to go and see that. You know, and seeing what, and I love just going through there, seeing home baked stuff, or whatever it is. It'll be great. So I'm really looking forward to that, and being able to just stroll around the grounds there, during the marketplace and see what they have to offer. But again, people, a lot of times, you live in a community so long, you forget to really look at what is great about the community. You kind of have blinders on, or you kind of look through it through jaded eyes. But with me coming in from the outside, a new set of eyes looking at this community, you guys got a lot to be proud of, you know, and I'm really looking forward to be a part of it, and again, providing the community with a paper they can be proud of, because, I see this being a long relationship with us and the community of Chesterton, because I just think, this is a perfect setting. It's kind of a perfect storm. I think during the pandemic, people have realized, how important good local community journalism is. And it's a trusted source that you can depend upon. And again, it's our job then too to be the cheerleaders for the community, be the historians for the community, and to be the watchdogs.
You and I both know there are a lot of people that are anticipating the future of our beloved paper. So now we're finally getting towards the end. What's one important thing that you want everyone to know?
We care. We care about the communities which we serve, okay? And we care about our readers, and we care about our advertisers. Some places, some bigger newspapers really don't care. I was just reading a story of a friend of mine who had just bought an amusement park out in Clementon Park, New Jersey, and the headline on the story that they wrote about him, it says, "Can this park be saved?" Well, that starts out in a negative tone right at the very beginning. We really try not to do. We really try to accentuate the positive that's happening in our communities. But again, like I said, we don't shy away from things. But we care. We care about the communities which we live in and which we serve. And we want to make sure that the people trust us. And our number one goal is to make sure that Chesterton is strong, vibrant, a great place for people to bring and raise their kids here, get educated, to start a business. It's just very important that they have a strong newspaper at the same time.
Well, now that we're wrapping up, is there anything else at all that you want to say about the project?
Well, again, I'm very passionate about this, and I think I've expounded on that enough. People know I'm passionate about our newspaper projects that we do, and it's always going to be a continuing project. There's never ever a perfect newspaper or any kind of media, so we're always going to be continuing, tweaking, improving things, getting input back from readers and advertisers, what they like, what they don't like, so we always want to be, continually striving forward to be better at what we do.
Yeah. And
we will do that. And I think, I really strongly believe Chesterton is going to be proud of their local newspaper, that we're going to be able to launch on April 22nd.
And then just once more for our listeners, could you repeat who to call to subscribe, and then who to call if they're interested in joining the staff at the Tribune?
Well, the main number down there, if you want to subscribe to the paper, you can call Nicole, and the number down there is 219-926-1130. 31 and talk to Nicole. And then if you're talking to Nicole, if you're just call that number. If you're interested in writing for us or wanting to apply for a reporter or editorial position, have her directed to Peter Cook. He's our general manager down there, or Rick Martinez, who are kind of getting things set up for us there. But they'll be more than happy to talk to you. You know, we want our readers and the community people to be engaged, with the local newspaper.
Well, thank you so much. That's going to wrap things up for this week's exciting edition of Porter County Perspective. I've been your host, HAMZA SAHLI, WDSO Program Director, with Don Hurd, the new owner of the Chesterton Tribune. Thank you again for your time, and thank you again for saving the biggest staple of our community, It's been a real pleasure to meet you.
Well, thank you very much, and go Trojans.